It's Kicks right here on your Classic Metal Show with some girl money. And probably one of the silliest things that we did early before we went strictly to internet, Chris, was something that you did on the show before you became a full-time co-host.
Sure.
Way back in the early 2000s when I was still on FM radio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play this little clip here for you.
Okay.
You probably remember this.
I do.
But this was Chris ad-libbing to some girl money on the Classic Metal Show just as a on-air guest.
Yes.
So let's revisit the past from about 18 years ago.
88.9 WSTV, the Classic Metal Show. It's Kicks from their Hotwire release, and that's called She Money.
She Money.
She Money. I wonder what that means, She Money.
Because you're out on the pole, it's She Money. I'm gonna ram your hole, it's She Money.
That one going out to Keith and Ravenna tonight. And just before that, we heard TNT, Green Light, Red Light, Go. From their most popular release, Blow My Fuse. Blow My Fuse, among other things.
Among other things.
Oh,
and then Swallow My Pride.
Along with other things.
Right.
And anyway, Chuck got a very interesting caller tonight. He's got a fan out there.
Yeah.
Supports his
child care habit.
His fatherly duties.
Yeah, what a guy.
So Chris being the rotten bastard that he is,
right,
and a friend to us all,
right. I got a special dedication out to Chuck and his herd of children, and all of his friends that support the fact that he is such a good dad. And then we got one for the strippers from last night as well.
Yeah, what's up, Mike?
What's up?
Oh, you're waving your arms around. I thought you had something to say. All right, well, this one goes out to Chuck. It's an Aussie tune. Chris Aiken has personally picked this for his boy Chuck.
Right. It's Crazy Babies.
Right here on 88.9 WSTB.
The Classic Metal Show.
Boy,
that sounds so young.
We were so young.
That's what, 15 years ago or something?
No, it was almost 20 years ago.
Was that 20 years ago?
Almost 20 years ago. Probably about 18 years ago.
Wow. That was funny, though. I just remember everybody busted up when I started doing the She Money.
Yeah, She Money.
Gonna ram her hole. And that was terrestrial radio.
Yeah, that was FM radio.
That was like right up to the border of what we were allowed to do.
Exactly. Just ad-libbing.
Mm-hmm. But that was close. That was, if Bob Long, who was the program director, would have heard that, he probably would have not been happy.
Of course not.
He'd have been like, oh, I'm sorry, Wendell, but you're off the air.
Exactly. So good.
And he didn't have love for me anyway. Not really. But
Until decades later, then all of a sudden, former program director Mike Kustis reached out to you to get some input from you about the history of WSTB.
Sure. Yeah, because I mean, that's where I got my start, too. I know that's where this show started. But when did you start on STB?
95. The summer of 95.
So 10 years before that, I got my start on WSTB with the Chris Aiken Experience every day, 7:30 to 9, for most of my senior year,
right?
Until I got my very first ever suspension from Bob Long for forging a logbook. I had a friend that blew off his shift, and I loved doing shifts. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'll come and do your shift for you. So I did his shift, but I signed his name to the logbook, and then I got suspended. I got suspended for a month off the air because of for forging the logbook.
Right. Well, I started my on-air presence in August of 95.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started the Classic Metal Show in January of 96.
What were you doing in 95? Were you doing...
Just doing the regular shift. Just the regular whatever they had on the program schedule.
Dude, do you have any of that audio?
No.
I would love to hear you doing intros for like Korn or Mushroom Head.
Yeah, it was Korn, Mushroom Head, Life of Agony, Rancid.
God, I would love to hear some of that.
Yeah, I had no interest in recording that. But
you were just learning.
Yeah, I was just learning. It was my earliest recollection of air shifts.
Sure.
And I just did the regular format. And
so, like, hey, that was Life of Agony, and they have a new album out. And
yeah, this goes out to Shannon and Ravenna. This is, whatever it was.
Mushroom Head.
Exactly.
It's 5 after the hour here, 92 degrees outside.
Yeah, speaking of 5 after the hour, if you want to stop over at so-and-so's Fish and Chips.
Yeah.
And mention WSTB, they'll give you a 10% discount on your order.
And by the way, we'd like to thank Blasiola's Pizza for dropping us off a pie tonight.
Exactly.
Thank you, guys. God, I do not miss regular radio at all.
Well, I got to admit, though, that Aurelio's Pizza, was it what was it?
Giannino's.
Giannino's Pizza. They basically offered, they said, hey, if you throw out a plug for us, we'll bring you a free pizza. And it's like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And every Saturday they would call the station and say, hey, you guys up for a pizza tonight? And it's like, yeah, fuck yeah. It's just like, all right, well, we're having pizza from Giannino's Pizza. Go over to Streetsboro, the Streetsboro location, and mention the Classic Metal Show here on WSTB.
You have that clip over there somewhere with Mikey with the, got a strange pie.
Yeah, we had some pretty good pie, and it's got some strange meat on it and shit like that.
Strange meat on this pie.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see if I have that. I see if I can identify it anyway.
I forget what that was. Was that the meat grinder one?
No, I don't think that was it. That was Vince Neil. I'm looking for it. Long-haired Mike.
Peace.
No, let me see. Death Angel. I'm looking through the clips here real quick. Dave Mustaine.
Little Mike's, huh?
Chris on Chuck and Little Mike. Okay, let me see here. Badlands.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm looking through the clips, see if I can identify it real quick here.
I don't remember what the context was to even offer it.
We talked about Chuck Negron and his cock exploding. Chuck in Lakewood.
That was fun, too.
Back for More.
Back of the Whore.
Yeah, Back of the Whore. Let's see here. What do we got here?
She lives in Lakewood. The Back of the Whore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I still remember that.
Yeah. Oh, the meat grinder.
That's the all-timer.
Right. Bob Long. Let's see here. Music's Bottom Line. I'm thinking that it's Lakewood.
All right, try it.
I'm gonna give this a try here. Let's see. Chris, Neeley and Chris, Chuck and Lakewood. Let me see what this. Let's see what this is. Now, mind you, and just for those of you who are new to the show, this show started in '96. Okay, so we're 20 some years in.
Yeah.
Chris was somebody who was introduced to me in '98. I started the show in '96. Chris was introduced to me in '98. Mm-hmm. He was not a part of the show. He would stop down once a month to promote his newspaper, his Music's Bottom Line, actual print magazine.
Right.
And he would just take over the mic and we would just start riffing, nothing planned. It was just riffing.
I just pushed your other guys.
Yeah, and I kind of had some co-hosts, some guys that just were fans of the show that would come down and hang out with me.
Sure.
And they were called Little Mike because he was a little guy. He was probably like 5'5".
Sure.
And he was like a real hardcore metal fan. And then Chuck, who was a fan of music, but he was a contributor to Music's Bottom Line. How did you meet Chuck? I really don't even know that story even to this day.
I don't know, at a show or something. Or I think he was a fan of the Metal Show on MMS.
Okay.
And I think he won tickets or something, I think. And I met him. And then we just started talking, and he was a fan of Music's Bottom Line and wanted to write for it. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. So you basically had told me, I know this guy, Chuck, and he's a really good, he's a really hardcore fan of the music.
Yeah.
Maybe he would make a good co-host for you.
Right.
And you gave me his number, and I called him up, and I, told him who I was, and he says, I listened to your show. I'm a big fan. So I invited him down, and he would come down and be like a co-host every week with me.
Sure.
And, he was just a music fan.
Yeah.
And he hung in there and, hung out with me and little Mike, who was another music fan.
Well, and we got to set that precedent too. The show at the time was not what you're listening to now.
No, it was a
music show.
It was 100% music show. And in the breaks, we would comment on bands and music.
Yeah. I mean, we play about 12 songs a show now. Back then, I would say you probably played 80 songs a show.
Somewhere around there. Sure, it would be.
12, 13 an hour. Easy. I mean, it was a totally different animal.
But the guys that I had involved were just like really, really big fans.
Sure.
And so we would come out of a break. We would let's just say we would play the Keel song. And we would say, hey, I remember when Right to Rock came out, and Right to Rock had this video, blah, blah, blah. And little Mike would chime in, would say, yeah, I remember seeing that on MTV. And Chuck would chime in and say, I met Ron one time, blah, blah, blah. He'd give his story, and then we get back right into music.
Right.
And that's really how it morphed into it. So these guys kind of became a fixture on the show. And then a guy who was my first co-host, and we talked about this before, was my friend Rockin' Randy.
Right.
And I met him at a Jackal show at the Odeon. And he was aware of my show, and he was just like, hey, man, any chance I could come down and hang out and talk and whatever? And I said, yeah, if you want to come down, sure. So Randy came down, and I got to know him, and he knew Chris because he was writing for Music's Bottom Line.
Right.
And we were at a Black Crowes show, and Chris and Randy were at the same show, and we just happened to run into each other. And that's when I met you the first time.
Right.
And it just kind of blossomed from there. It's just like, well, every month when Music's Bottom Line came out in print, Chris would make the trip down on a Saturday and say, hey, the new Music Bottom Line is going to be out on Monday.
Right.
And here's what's in it. This is what's featured. This is what we're covering this month. This is what the cover is. Go out and get it. It's at your local music stores and newsstands. Pick it up. It's free. And we would promote it that way. And then you'd hang out for about an hour, and we would kind of riff a little bit, and that's kind of where the chemistry of the whole show started.
Yep, exactly.
So here's I don't know what this is. I hope this is the clip.
Okay.
But this is you and I riffing with Chuck and little Mike and talking about the swollen ham on the pizza.
All right.
All right. So let's check this out.
88.9 WSTV, the Classic Metal Show. It's Dokken from the Erase the Slate release with the title track. Just before that, we heard Don with his Nuts in a Vice on Paris is Burning.
Hey, can you say that on the air?
Yeah, Nuts in a Vice.
Yes.
Paris is Burning, the live track, never recorded as a studio release.
Accept?
What are you doing, little Mike? You're over there whacking it.
He's swinging.
He's like, Paris is burning. Woo! Paris is burning. Chunga, chunga, chunga. Wee.
He felt something rising up from looking at that Excel.
And that wasn't the Phoenix Rising either.
Hope he isn't into sword fighting.
Hey, I'm not the one that goes. Wait a minute, I'm not the one that goes to Lakewood.
Well, your buddy Tracy was.
Come on, little Mike, do an arm lock with Neeley. Come on, do an arm lock with Neeley.
Nice. Eesh. Unbelievable. Yuck.
Toss him that acceptee.
You said toss and what?
Well, he was in Lakewood today.
Who was? Chuck?
No, I wasn't.
I wasn't.
I swear, honey, I was not in Lakewood. I swear. That lipstick around my Johnson.
You said John.
I just wanted to look pretty for you.
I did it for you. The lengths I'll go to keep you happy.
Oh, man.
How long you been married, man?
How long were you married, Chuck?
Were you married, man? How long were you married?
Comment. Get me in trouble.
He's a good man. You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
Hey, just because you have 30 kids.
Chuck's got 9. We love that. I love that.
I forgot about that one. Lipstick on your Johnson.
Yeah, lipstick on your Johnson.
He just wants to make it look pretty.
Right. Well, if anybody's not aware of the Cleveland suburb of Lakewood,
Yeah.
that's kind of known as a gay area.
Yes.
And Chuck used to distribute the Music's Bottom Line in Lakewood.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris used to rag on Chuck for covering that area because he always made the innuendo that Chuck was over there making some kind of gay liaison.
Well, because Chuck lived like 100 miles away from Lakewood.
He did. He lived way out east of Cleveland.
And that's all the way on the west side of Cleveland.
Right.
I mean, it's completely, it's as far away from anything. If anything, Chuck should have been out distributing in his neighborhood, but instead he was distributing as far away as possible, which was fine with me because I needed someone to do it. But oh my God, did he take a beating from me constantly about, being a fag.
Well, here you are. I think you're making reference to Lakewood again.
Okay.
We talked about Rat Back for More.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember this.
Yeah, I remember this.
This was the Back of the Whore.
Yes, this is funny.
Again, you're saying Back of the Whore on FM radio.
Yes.
Here we go.
88.9 88.9 WSTV, the classic metal show. It's Rat with the Back for More. And we're out of here.
The back of the whore. It's the back of the whore.
Nice.
I creamed her back.
Wow.
The back of that whore. She lives in Lakewood. The back of the whore.
Wow, Chris got the whole thing down there for you. He's ad-libbing that. That's not really a song, believe it or not.
Yeah, how about that? That's not the original lyrics.
Well, you know what? Since Chris was in the mood and he came up with some great lyrics, we're going to get out of here and we're going to leave you peaceful. So before I announce
Here's Cannibal Corpse.
That's right.
Mummified in barbed wire.
Before I get out of here, make sure you pick up the new Bottom Line with Jim Tomatrader on the on the cover, or check it out online, www.mblzine.com. I want to thank Giannino's Pizza here in Streetsboro at the Streetsboro Plaza for tossing us a pie. How was that pie, little Mike? Was it any good?
Little hairy.
It had some strange meat on it, but it tasted good.
A little hairy. It had some strange meat on it, but it tasted good.
What the fuck?
All right.
I don't know what kind of meat that was, and I really don't want to either, but it was a pretty good pie.
Had a little bit of swollen ham there on the sides, but
Every single bit of this would get you fired today.
Of course, a little swollen ham on the sides.
A little swollen ham. How's that pie? A little hairy.
All right.
So good.
I don't think it had been through the meat grinder.
Yeah, it didn't go through the meat grinder, but
I get my pie in Lakewood.
you get your pie in Lakewood? I don't even want to know about that.
I think I'll be...
Little Mike, get your pie in Lakewood. I don't even want to know about that. Little Mike was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, he was.
All right.
Just kidding.
I think I'll be cutting an MP3 of that for the Classic Metal Show website tonight.
So order up some Giannino's Pizza from the Streetsboro Plaza, 330-626-9999. Thank you very much. Check out the Classic Metal Show website throughout the week, www.theclassicmetalshow.com. Mr. Aiken will have tonight's show up online by tomorrow evening, as always. At least I think he will, unless he's sleeping. He looks like he's ready for sleep.
I'll have the first one running before I go to bed tonight.
All right.
First of 8 tapes.
So if you missed any part of the show tonight, you can hear it all online on theclassicmetalshow.com. I think that's it. Any more plugs? Any shows? Anything?
No.
Nothing going on?
No.
All right, well.
Enough's enough. December 20th.
That's right. We'll have to get back
Parma,
with Chip and see what's up with him.
That's in Parma, right?
Yeah, Revolution.
Isn't that next to Lakewood?
I think so. Chuck ought to feel right at home
Do you
up
have
there.
a date for that show, Chuck?
He's working.
What are you working on?
He's working the street corner that night. Hey, fella, you want a date? Hey, big fella.
Come on in here, honey. Let's listen to some Accept together.
A lot of gay innuendo there.
Yeah, there's a lot of gay there.
The Sunday.
I thought the name Bobby was a girl's name.
There you are.
So good.
That is the beginning of when Chris and I decided we had a chemistry.
Yeah. Dude, you got to play Meat Grinder.
Meat Grinder?
Meat Grinder. That's
right.
the best one.
Of course. Well, let's set that up.
All right.
Our friend Chuck, who was my co-host,
Yes.
he was a young guy. He was only like in his late 20s, maybe 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he and his wife already had 6 children.
Yes.
6 children at 30 years old.
That guy, the kids were half born when they came out of his dick.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy could make a baby every time he fucked his chick.
His chick had a baby about every other year.
Yeah.
And so we kind of goofed on him a little bit of the fact that he was banging out a kid about every 18 months.
Right.
And it was just like, this is fucking unbelievable. This guy is 30 years old. He's supporting a wife and 6 children, and his wife was pregnant with their 7th.
Yes.
And it was just like, this is freaking unbelievable. Because I was single. Chris, of course, was married, but, he'd been married for a while, and he only had 3.
Yeah, and I got 2 at once.
Yeah.
So.
And this guy banged out 6 kids in 10 years.
Yes. It's crazy.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
It really was.
So we referred to this guy as Papa Chuck Myden.
Right.
And his wife had just given birth to their sixth child.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of teasing him about the fact that his wife banged out 6 children.
Yep.
And whether he was going down on his wife after the birth of his 6th child.
Right.
And he described his wife's pussy as ground meat.
Right.
He said he wasn't going down on his wife because that was like ground meat.
Right.
But his verbiage was, it was like a meat grinder. but what he really meant was it was like ground meat.
Right.
So here's Chuck describing his wife's pussy.
And we can't say this enough. This was on commercial radio.
Yeah, this was on FM radio. You could tune it in your car or on in your home. And he said it was like a meat grinder down there. So here we go with Chuck describing his wife's pussy.
88.9 WSTV, the Classic Metal Show. A rare opportunity here to hear a triple shot of Dokken. That's Back for the Attack.
Rare?
A rare. Three in a row.
Not on this show.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe it.
Oh, come on now.
They had their CD player
Back for the Attack, the song that was strangely omitted from the American version of the CD of the same name, Back for the Attack. Just before that, we heard their latest release from Long Way Home, Sunless Days, and kicking things off, we heard Kiss of Death with Chuck. Just realized that song is about contracting AIDS after a promiscuous sexual adventure.
Ooh.
Now I know.
There's more to be said to sticking with one woman.
9 times. Sticking it to or with? Or both?
Both.
9 times.
You're a good man, Chuck. Isn't there something like a movie like You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown? Isn't Charlie like short Chuck?
Yeah.
Charlie Chuck?
Call Melissa Peppermint Patty.
How is that peppermint patty anyway?
Yeah, no.
Does it taste like peppermint? That's
Or a little fishy.
Wow! I'm glad you can't hear this show, man.
Yeah, it's not like it's streaming online every day or anything.
A little fishy.
Little fishy.
Nice. It's a little fishy.
Yeah.
Good for Chuck.
Surf and turf, huh?
Sardines.
Ooh, wow!
Sardines.
Wow!
Sardines.
What the fuck was he going home to?
So this guy, Chuck,
Yeah.
his wife would listen to the show online.
Yes.
This was very, very, very early in online streaming.
Oh, yeah.
I believe the streaming service was called Web Radio. Do you remember that?
That we were streaming with?
Well, the station was streaming live on the web.
Web radio, yeah, right.
Web Radio was the service. I don't even know if it exists anymore.
Probably not.
But the WSDB was actually streaming both over the air and on the web.
Right.
And they subscribed to a service called Web Radio, which was a very early service for streaming live content.
Right, sure.
So his wife would tune in to the show via Web Radio.
Right.
And listen to the show, and he's like saying she smells like fish, and it's like sardines, and all this other stuff.
Right. And then he gets off this line.
Right.
Walking off the edge here, buddy.
Jesus. I'm going to get him some Ogilvy for Christmas.
He'll be on his knees yodeling in the canyon from now on, that's for sure.
Not for a little while. Maybe next year.
Wow.
It's like a meat grinder down there.
That was the line of the century right there.
Fuck yeah.
It's like a meat grinder down there.
So good.
But again, I'm sure that he meant it's like ground meat down there.
Yeah, he did, but because if it's a meat grinder, his dick would be getting chewed up every time he stuck it in.
Yeah. So let's hear that again.
All right.
In the canyon from now on, that's for sure.
Not for a little while. Maybe next year.
Wow.
It's like a meat grinder down there. Yeah. Obviously,
He was really
under the blade, huh?
Man, he's revealing a lot of personal stuff here. Jeez, Dr. Phil.
Jesus, Melissa the meat grinder Maiden.
Oh, my.
And there's Chris revealing full names.
Yeah, of course. Course.
Damn, Chuck.
You know you are going to be knee deep in doo-doo when you get home, buddy.
Yeah.
Woo! Can we put this up online?
When I see home of the 10-pounder on instant message, do I have a message for her?
Look at that what Nathan in Kentucky put in the chat room.
See it.
We just played something that said the meat grinder.
And there it is.
And there it is. How do they do that?
Because I think every idea has been put out there.
I know, but how do they do that so quickly?
Google search, I guess.
I mean, that's amazing how quickly they can put up
sure.
things in the chat room like that. Okay.
At home with a 10-pounder is referring to not a baby. Yeah. That would be the hair on the neck of your mullet.
I don't know, Chuck. You're walking on some dangerous ground there. You know, girls are pretty sensitive about that whole thing. So
yeah, I've never known too many girls that like their snatch being called a meat grinder.
You said snatch.
Well, I wasn't allowed to say pussy.
I know, but I don't know many girls who like their snatch referred to as meat grinder.
Or snatch.
Snatch.
I don't think many girls like their pussy being referred to as snatch either.
But you said it, though.
I didn't care. Whatever, my wife didn't listen.
Of course not. Snatch.
not for a while. I'm not touching that thing.
For months.
A year, he said. Sometime next year.
I don't know if that's because he's scared or if he just doesn't want another kid.
Wow. Uh-oh.
Both.
He's honest. You got to admit.
No doubt.
Not only is he brave, he's honest.
I'm not shaking his hand till next year.
I don't know, Chuck. Woo. I can't sympathize with you. So I've never found a woman worthy enough to receive my demon seed and
10 times.
spawn my demon child.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Receive my demon seed. Over and over again. Receive my spore.
You don't even say that. You come home, you roll them over, and...
Oh. I'm going to get off this subject because suddenly I'm feeling ill.
I'm tired.
You're going to be sleeping on the couch, I can tell you that right now, especially if she catches wind of the show. Somebody's on the phone calling her right now.
I can see the instant message I'm going to get tomorrow. Dude, please don't put that online. Please.
I had to throw the tape that I recorded out the window on my way home.
I don't know what happened, Melissa. I swear I taped last week's show.
Don't you? She's like, Chuck, don't you normally have 4 90-minute tapes? I must have left one at the station. Strangely omitting the omissions that I made about the meat grinder.
But I brought you a special present. Here's a new CD, The Fags.
God. Man, this is too much.
Well, just to let people in behind the curtain here.
Yeah.
We did not have a way of recording the show directly off the board.
No. So
what I did on a weekly basis is that I brought a boom box that had an AM/FM radio built in, and I would basically record the show basically over the air,
right,
onto the tape,
right.
And this was taped on a 90-minute cassette tape, and I had 4 90-minute cassette tapes that I would record every Saturday because we weren't sophisticated enough to be able to record this onto some kind of a digital platform at all.
Yeah, this would be before MP3 or anything.
Exactly. So this was very, very early on. So everything you're listening to was basically broadcast over the air, recorded through an FM station, and then recorded onto a tape, and then ripped to an MP3.
But let's not forget the one piece you're leaving out of the puzzle. The show would end at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you had to drive 20 minutes to my house
and drop it in your mailbox.
Leave the tapes in the mailbox, And my first move on Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, was to go out to the mailbox to get the tapes to start ripping them into my computer in, like, what was it, Real Player or something?
Yeah, it was Real Player. Yeah.
In a real audio format. It was a whole operation.
Yeah, it was a long, drawn-out thing.
Yeah, and we had to play all 6 hours to get it online the next day. I had to record all 6 hours and pray that my fucking that my computer wouldn't lock up, and the technology was new, so it would lock up, and then you'd have to start over. It was a real pain in the ass.
Yeah. So 18, 20 years ago, that's what we did to put the show online.
It was a real process, but we were way ahead of the curve on that.
Look at Tyrant Eric Dawson in the chat room. Chris sounds thinner on the old tapes.
No, do I?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I sound fat? I should. I am. I was fat then.
It's like Chris sounds thinner.
I was a big fat tub of shit then, too.
Holy shit. It's too
You're
fun.
wrong, Tyrant. I was fat then. I'm fat now.
Wow.
Well, we had a request in there for one more. If you...
Okay. What was it?
They want the Jesse James one.
The Jesse James, yeah.
That is just always great.
Yeah. Where Chris is imitating Jesse James from the band Jackal.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is Chris imitating Jesse James from Jackal.
Yep.
It's Jesse James Dupree from their self-titled debut release. It's Jackal with Dirty Little Mind, and we're going to be talking with Jesse James tonight at 11:30. Woo! He's already called in once tonight, said, I'll be damned if I'm going to miss this interview. I tell you what, Neeley, I'm going to be there, Neeley. As soon as that clock hits 11:30, you better bet the Jesse James Jack will be there for you. Woo! Hey, we might as well not even call him. We'll just interview you. I'm ready to do it. I got this album, Neeley, called Relentless. It's because I'm relentless on that stage. Relentless, I tell you, Neeley. Let me crank up that chainsaw and rip you a new asshole.
I can't believe I said I'll rip you a new asshole. That would have not, had the censors been listening to that would have not have flown.
That would have got fined.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a shove. I'm going to show you what shove it is, because I'm Jesse James. Woo! Dupree! Jackal! So we're going to be talking to Jesse James tonight. We'll be talking about the new
You already
are. Relentless. He's in the studio tonight doing some recording, so he says, just call me up. I'll be on the radio with you all tonight. Tonight! Yeah! All right, so 11:30. Yeah! We'll be talking with Jesse James.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. Too funny. That's funny stuff there.
I'll rip you a new asshole.
That whole thing is funny.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is crazy. And I wasn't even on the show all the time. That was just us fucking around.
That was once a month. You'd come down and, promote the new Music's Bottom Line release.
Yeah. But it was just us fucking around.
That was it.
It just sort of worked. And it always did. I know it drove Chuck crazy, because then the weeks I wasn't there, then he fucking... After I started coming down, because he used to tell me all the time that he was trying, that he would be like trying to be funny. And Chuck just wasn't wired that way. The thing that I think was forgotten was I was doing radio, every week anyway.
Sure.
So, I was comfortable, and I was comfortable talking. And Chuck always seemed like he was a little bit nervous. Like he wasn't sure what he could say or what he couldn't say, and if he was going to piss you off or something. That was always my read. And then I would just come in and just go for it and was like, whatever. What are they going to do, throw me out? Okay.
Well, that was back in the early days when we were just finding our way.
Mm-hmm. It really was.
And obviously things changed completely a couple years after that.
Sure. Yeah. Then you went to the internet and then had a year of just struggling through that. And then the Laser Wolves happened and the rest is history.
Well, I see people mentioning Laser Wolves.
Yeah.
In there, and I do have the Laser Wolf segment.
Mm-hmm.
So if people want to hear that,
yeah,
I can actually play that.
That's long, though.
I don't know how long it is. Let me see here real quick.
With the mom and everything?
Let me see real quick. Let me see what the time is on that. Let's see here. Where are we at? I'm looking. Vince Neil, long-haired Mike. Just going through the segments here to see how long they are. Jackal. We just did that. Death Angel.
I mean, I'm game if you want to just play it. We can play out.
Oh, it's not that long.
I think it is.
No, I don't think so.
Laser Wolves? Dude, the intro alone to the song is 15 minutes.
It's not that long. Come on.
I'll bet it's 30 minutes.
Nah, I don't think it's that long. Let me see here. I'm looking real quick. Just trying to see. Lakewood. Oh, Laser Wolf Mother. That's 2 minutes and 25 seconds.
That's it?
Yeah, I got it condensed down.
Oh, all right.
All right, here we go.
I think somebody pissed off that we woke him right out of his sleep. What's the guy's name?
I got him.
Hello?
Hi. Is this James from the Laser Wolves?
No, this is his mother.
Oh, is he there? I'd like to speak to him, please.
No, he's not here. May I ask who's calling?
Sure, it's Chris from the Classic Metal Show. We were
now, mind you, in Montana, this was like about midnight.
Right.
So this was like midnight on a Saturday night.
Yes.
And we're calling this number, and this poor lady answers the phone.
Sounds like she's 100.
Yeah, of course. All right, here we go.
Supposed to be doing an interview tonight. We're a national program.
Okay, I can give you his cell phone. Oh, just a minute.
Okay.
I have to go look it up because I don't remember it.
Okay, I very much appreciate your time.
So we wake this lady up in her sleep, probably.
Yeah.
And we're asking for her son is in the band Laser Wolves in Montana.
Right.
At midnight. And she's looking this guy's number up.
She's going to give it to us. She doesn't know us. She doesn't know what we're doing.
Of course. So here we go.
Dude, do you have a way to pot it down and get the number?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the process of moving into their new house, so their phone, their landline has been temporarily cut off till they're in their new house.
So do you like their music?
Yep.
Me too.
You're a big fan of their music?
Yeah, I'm his mom.
Well, that doesn't mean
he could.
Well, we want you to know that you're live on the air with us right now.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, so.
Okay. Well, there is parts of it. I mean, I just marvel at that he does so well.
Right. Now, I got to ask you a question, Mom. There's actually a lyric in one of their songs that tells people to call their mom. Does he call you when he has problems? You know, when he's creating the bonfire?
You're such a dick. When he's creating the bonfire. Does he call you when he's creating the bonfire? All right, here we go.
You know, he does call me, but I think more it's his dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's a lyric in the bonfire song that says, call 911, call out to God, or call your mom.
Well, yeah, he knows Mom would go over if there was trouble.
Right.
What are we doing?
Mom would go over if there was trouble.
Damn right.
About this 406. Yes, it's 3797. And hopefully he has it turned on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Mom, and keep it metal.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Can you believe that was like, I don't know how long ago. Was that 2006?
Something like that, yeah. 15 years ago, whatever. 12, 13.
Yeah. So
do you have Dubrow? I'm in the mood to just do this now. This is fucking fun.
I don't know if I have that like readily available.
All right. That's the one. Oh, man.
But the chilling call to a cell phone, you mean?
That's one we need to put on YouTube.
Yeah. I don't have that readily available.
What other good old ones do you have?
Let me see here. What do we got here? Let's see. Checking this out real quick. Here's you promoting Music's Bottom Line.
Okay.
All right. So as we mentioned earlier in the show, Chris had a print magazine in the Cleveland area called Music's Bottom Line.
Mm-hmm.
So here's Chris coming down to the Classic Metal Show promoting the release of the new magazine.
All right.
Oh,
don't forget to catch me in my North Dakota show.
That's right. Well, tell us a little bit about that. You're featured on another cheap channel show.
Yeah, exactly.
In North Dakota.
In North Dakota, I have a show some Saturdays, which it's amazing how I did that show and this show tonight. But, Saturdays.
So because you were involved with some outside sources, you used to do like a promo thing with another show in North Dakota.
I guess I don't even remember that.
This was called The Box.
The Box?
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember that.
Yeah, you used to promote your magazine around the country, and other rock shows would pick it up, and you would do little cameos around the country to promote the magazine.
Right.
And you would be on a thing called The Box.
The Box.
So here we go.
Oh,
don't forget to catch me in my North Dakota show.
That's right. Well, tell us a little bit about that. You're featured on another cheap channel show.
Yeah, exactly.
In North Dakota.
In North Dakota, I have a show some Saturdays, which it's amazing how I did that show and this show tonight. But, Saturdays from I think it's 11 to 1 our time. It's 10 to midnight their time. It's on a station called KKBX, which is The Box. You know, or the meat grinder, as Chuck calls it.
The Box.
The Box. But no, it's a cool station. I mean, unlike the metal show that I do here, it's very much closer to, what you guys are doing here at the Classic Metal Show. A lot of, cool stuff like this.
It's about 2 rungs below the Classic Metal Show, but it's still
certainly
good.
not as good a music, but, I mean, if you can mix in some gayness like Gene loves Jezebel or something.
Gene loves Jezebel.
Nice.
So you somehow, way back, that far back, you were trying to expand your region.
Yes.
With Music's Bottom Line and, get some press from different parts of the country.
Oh, yeah. I was always a go-getter.
Well, I know that. But, see, thinking we're in 2018... This took place in like 2002, so we're like 16 years ago. You were networking or trying to make something happen nationwide so far back.
Yeah.
When internet was so pretty much early on. And trying to make that happen then.
Yeah. I was an innovator.
You were. No wonder your wife gave you shit all the time. This is never going to pan out to anything.
Well, she might have been right about that.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Gayness.
With
I'm
some
jealous.
of these cool
Jealous again.
You know, but it's a fun show. Hey, whatever, man. It's like I get to be on in North Dakota. I get to have some fun. Why not?
Yeah, you can call out to Tom Daschle out there.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, how come you're killing our country?
Exactly.
That's a whole other issue.
Communist back.
Now, didn't you do a article in Music's Bottom Line called "A Bullet to Tom Daschle's Head" or something like that?
Yeah, it was called Bullets for Tom Daschle's Head.
Right.
I didn't write it. Angry Pat wrote it. Angry Pat Mankey. He used to write this thing. And it was just a long-winded, crazy rant. But I had that graphic with the, remember, and some library wouldn't let me put the magazine in there because of it, because it was so shocking and
outrageous.
Yeah, it was so scary. How dare we promote this and have something called Bullets for Tom Daschle's Head?
But you did.
I did. I never was one to care too much for censorship.
There you go. All right, here we go.
Man, you prick.
A bullet to Tom Daschle's head, featured in Music's Bottom Line.
Right, tell me that's not a great
Excellent. That's excellent. That guy has a lot of time on his hands to be able to write an editorial that's a full page and small script.
Oh my God, man, he turns these things into me. I'd be like, when he first gives them to me, they're always like 6,000 words. I'm like, Jesus, dude.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you need to pick up the latest issue of Music's Bottom Line. There's a great editorial in there called "A Bullet to Tom Daschle's Head," and if you like political commentary mixed in with some mirth, some cutting levity.
Right. Well, that's like the brutality version of politics.
There you go. So pick up Music's Bottom Line and read it for yourself. For those of you who are reading inclined,
right, and get ready to start reading that thing a whole lot more often.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you basically elaborate as a single editor of this Music's Bottom Line? You personally had to put this thing together by yourself on a monthly basis, and you got these subscription or submissions from all kinds of people, from CD reviews, concert reviews, commentary, op-eds, blah, blah, blah. And you had to lay this thing out by yourself.
Yeah.
And then take it to print every month.
And then we boosted to 2 weeks.
Yeah, you did every other week.
We did every other week. Once I got a rhythm down, then I was like, let's do it twice as much. Oh yeah, it was a real hassle. Look, there's parts of my life, and when I talk about the divorce, and I obviously don't talk a whole lot about the situations, but there are situations that I did that definitely I could see why she was fucking pissed and left. Music's Bottom Line is one of them.
Of course, because it was very time consuming, and with the primitive tools that you had in your hands at that time.
Sure.
We think about the internet today and all the things that you do with websites and Aiken IT and all that.
Yeah.
It's very advanced, but compared to 2000, 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, it was primitive.
It was.
And it was time consuming. It took, and just, if you can be honest about it, what did Music's Bottom Line net you on a monthly basis?
Oh shit, nothing. Almost. I mean, I was in the hole for a long time. And
well, when you say in the hole on a monthly basis, what did this cost you?
What was it, like $5,000 a month?
Really?
Yeah.
You had to put out $5,000 a month, or did any of the advertising cover?
The advertising paid most of that.
Okay. What did you put out of your personal pocket because you were in the hole?
Oh, Probably between $500 and $800 a month.
Really? So let's just round it up to $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you were putting out $1,000 of your own money to make up the shortfall.
Oh yeah.
In advertising and whatever, just to put this magazine out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So obviously, when it comes to finance and money, especially in a marriage, that's always a problem. So, so I'm sure your former wife gave you an earful on a monthly basis. Like, why are you putting out $800 or $1,000 a month on this magazine?
Mm-hmm. Well, she sat there and watched that fucking burn settlement just go right into Music's bottom line. That's what I used, was my burn money.
Wow.
That's what I used. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to take my chance to do my thing. And if she bitched, she bitched. I didn't care. I wanted to do my thing. I wanted to take a shot. I believed in it. And compared to what was going... Because if you remember... At that time, we had Scene was in flux. Scene magazine was definitely in flux.
Yeah, because they were being bought out by a corporate entity at that time, right? Out of Colorado or something like that.
Yeah, and it changed them from a music paper to a lifestyle paper.
Yeah, it was a commercial thing.
Yeah. So then there was another paper my friend Steve started, Spot magazine.
Yeah, I remember
Spot?
that.
And there was me. And the response to Music's bottom line was overwhelmingly good. You know, when from the first issue on, because I would work with local bands and I didn't care what kind of music it was, and I gave everybody equal coverage. And that's what the local, especially the local musicians, loved Music's bottom line, because, you know, Gear could be on would get the same amount of coverage as, I don't know, White Zombie or whatever was popular at the time. You know, and the bands loved that I treated them as an equal, like none is better than the other. And it really did take off. You know, I mean, and I got quite early on, I got quite a few really big interviews because people knew me from the radio or from Scene, my old days at Scene when I wrote for Scene magazine. So, I mean, early on, I was getting, you know, I had a Kiss interview with Peter Criss, and I had Dr. Dre I got once, and Shania Twain, and, you know, and these were big interviews for, like, major things. And I just happened to have contacts that were willing to do me solids, you know? So it happened pretty quick. But before I knew it, I was all the way in. You know, I was all the way involved and was trying. I really thought that it was going to become. I thought if I waited it out and I just put in more work than the next guy, then I would, you know, I would win in the end, and it would become like the new Cleveland paper. And it didn't happen, but the one thing that I did get out of it that has made me probably $1 million of money since is I learned everything that I've made money on since. I learned how to run a business. I learned how to build websites. I learned how to do, you know, artistic design. Everything that I do now for both businesses, whether it's the pinball business or the IT business, I learned from doing Music's bottom line. So, and I didn't lose any money in the end, because when I sold it to John and AJ, John Drake and his brother AJ.
Right.
I sold it for $60,000.
Really? Where did they come up with that kind of scratch to buy a magazine?
Not a question that I asked.
All right. And how long did it last after they took it over?
4 episodes, maybe.
Four months?
4 issues, yeah.
And that's it?
That's it.
Wow.
I mean, they had to, when I say $60,000, let me be clear about that. I did not personally bank the $60,000. I had a $60,000 debt.
Okay, and they just assumed the debt.
and they assumed the debt and paid off the debt.
Okay, so you basically broke even.
Yeah, I broke even.
Okay.
Which is okay. That was okay. But, I don't know how they came up with the money, where they came up with it, or what they did with it, if they did anything with it. I don't know.
Okay.
But I know it never came back to me. But, yeah, it only lasted 4 months.
Wow.
And John will tell you specifically, he's told me all the time, he doesn't know how I fucking did it every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well,
as a solo.
Even to this day, almost 20 years later, I personally don't know how you did that.
Dude,
these are a lot of details that I never even asked you about, so I'm learning about this just now.
Dude, what I used to do is I would gather everybody's stuff by the Friday. I had to turn it in on Monday to get it printed by Thursday. That was the timing. And I would come in from work, my day job, and I would get home on Friday, and I would get myself a bottle of Jack Daniels and a case of beer, and I would stay up for 2 solid days and just drink. Just stay fucked up and keep on working. And I would put it together, and I had to get it put together by 8 o'clock Sunday night because I had to go to Cleveland to do the metal show.
Okay.
So that was my process. My process was I would sit there and I would type out all the bullshit that was handwritten, and I would write reviews. Dude, I used to write reviews on the fly just to fill space because, we were short. We'd be short however much, so I would write a review to fill that space, for that. Or I had interviews and all kinds of different shit. But I wrote you remember, dude, I had 23 people on staff, and I still wrote 70% of it.
Right.
I was writing I was paying no attention to the fact that I had a family at that point. I would work my job, eat dinner, come in here and work till 1, 2 in the morning. Sleep 3 hours, go back to work, repeat. I wanted it so fucking bad to happen that I just didn't care what it took. I didn't care. I honestly didn't care what it did to my family. I didn't care what it did to me. I didn't care what my health was. I didn't care about my job. All I wanted was for this thing to blow up. And it got close, but it never went over the top. And I know why now, but there was the thing that I did wrong in that situation, which I try not to do as much, even, by comparison to the classic metal show, is I overexposed myself with Music's Bottom Line. Just like you were saying before about I was doing radio shows in other cities, and I was doing your show, and I was doing my show, and I was putting out the paper, everywhere I could talk about it, I talked about it. But the problem was that then it lost some value because people would just hear me talking about it. And if I said, hey, the cover this month is an interview with the Backstreet Boys, well, the fucking metal people didn't want to hear that, so they wouldn't pick it up. And then the value of the advertising dollars dropped. I should have been a little bit more strategically smart, but I was young. And it was my first ever legitimate business. I mean, I had one business before it, but it was my first shot. Like any first shot that anybody has in business, I made a lot of mistakes. But, like I said before, though, that paper has made my career. So I don't look back on it as a negative at all.
No, but you got to have a learning curve somewhere in your life.
Yeah.
And for you, that was Music's Bottom Line.
Yeah, and I did it for a long time. It's not like I gave up after a year and a half. I did it for 5 years.
Right.
And then at the end of the 5 years, I just wanted to be done. I was so tired.
Well, I would imagine. And the thing is that you had some loyal supporters that would pick that paper up every month and take it to their various outlets and distribute it for you.
Dude, I had everybody that was involved, yourself included, were so loyal to me. I don't know that everybody was even loyal to the paper, but they were loyal to me. And I'll tell you what's a testament to it is I'm still in touch with all but 3 people that were contributors to the paper. One of them died and 2 of them moved away. Everybody else I'm still in touch with.
There you go.
you know, and, you know, I mean, you've been to the parties here at the house. A lot of times people don't know each other, but that's because I've had all these different things that I've done, and everybody doesn't know everybody, but I know everybody.
Right.
It's a weird thing, but it's been quite a run for me, to say the least.
Well, you know, I used to pick the paper up at the printer and take it to the various outlets and distribute it to all the people who were taking it to their local places. And, you know, I would take my allotment and take it out to the local music stores that the brick and mortar stores that actually sold CDs and music and things, and distribute it to their places.
Yep.
You know, and as everybody else did.
Yeah. It was an operation. It really was a business. It wasn't just some dumb guy and with a bunch of friends and an idea. It really was a business. It was just a low budget business.
It was.
You know, but it just bothers me that we were so close and it just didn't happen. And I wish I would have been able to just push whatever button I needed to just to take that one last step.
Right.
Because we did. I mean, we outlasted that Spot magazine when that came out. Remember, that was heavily funded.
It was.
That was heavily funded, and they only lasted like 6 months. And I was still standing. And I was like, holy fuck, this might actually happen. And, you know, I was like, this is really close. And it just never did, but it was a good learning experience.
Sure was.
And it was fun. I mean, look, everybody had fun. You know, all the writers got tickets to everything, and I always took care of everybody to make sure they got into the shows they wanted to get to, and, you know, made sure they had enough tickets and, you know, all that different shit. Hey, there's one of my covers.
Yeah, I see that. Somebody was able to dig that up.
Look at that. Volume 5, Issue 1.
There you go.
First one of the 5th year.
Very good.
Rush. See, that's a big interview. Rush.
It was huge.
Yeah. Tony Danza.
Wow.
I don't remember. He must have been promoting some fucking music or something.
But still, that was pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
So many years ago.
Yeah. I look at that now and I'm like, oh, boy, I would change all this shit.
Yeah, but, you know, that was early.
Yeah. I do like that logo. That logo's pretty good.
Very early.
Yep.
That was early internet stuff.
It sure was.
All right. Well, I think that kind of is going to wrap it up.
All right. Well, no Judge Aiken, but we'll do it next week.
Yeah, we'll do that next week. But good history lesson, a lot of looking back so many years ago.
Sure.
And, you know, I learned some stuff tonight about music's bottom line I wasn't aware of.
There you go. There you go. A lesson in CMS history.
There you go. Some old stuff.
Yeah.
All right, our good friend Nader, who was a guest on the show tonight, he sent over some tracks from his forthcoming release, Call That Girl. We played a couple earlier tonight. I'm going to end the show with both a new London song and, of course, our good friend Jan Patrick. He already sent me the remixed version based on our critique.
Nice.
And he made the vocals louder in the CMS Allegiance song.
Cool.
And so I'm going to end the show with some brand new London, as well as some brand new CMS Stars. So we're going to get out of here. We'll be back next Saturday. We'll do this thing all over again. So I want to thank everybody who's been a part of the show and called in and all that good stuff. I want to thank my good friend Nader. If you're in the West Hollywood area at the Whiskey on Friday, they're doing a show at midnight. So go on out and be a part of the show. And if you run into Nader, let him know you heard him here on the show tonight. So until next Saturday night, this is...
Oh, I have to do my plug now.
Oh, do your plug.
I have to do my personal plug. If you want a copy of my book, Judas Priest, Cause and Effect Turbo, it is available now for pre-order in audiobook and paperback with a credit to you. Go to chrisaikenbooks.com and you can pre-order it today.
Excellent. All right, well, we're going to get out of here. So until next Saturday night, this is Neeley along with my very good friend
Chris Hagan.
And we are gone.
Bye, kids.
See ya.
Hi, this is Nate Dupree from the band London, baby, and you're listening to the Classic Metal Show right here with Neeley and that faggot, what's his name, Chris.